these don't actually make sound. I added that in post. Not so long ago, I put out a video that talked about how you can make a podcast using nothing but your iPad Pro and a Rode NT USB Mini. If you go into the comments on that video, and there's quite a few, a lot of people were like, well, how do I record interviews for a podcast? Not everybody wants to record a podcast by themselves. A lot of people want to have interviews. They want to talk to other people. You want to have roundtable discussions, etc. Basically, it led me down a path of trying to figure out, like, how would you record podcast interviews with just an iPad or mobily or on the go? I gotta tell you, it's not as easy as it may sound. It sounds like it would be a really simple concept. It's like, oh, let me just plug in a couple mics. The thing is with iOS and mobile devices, a lot of them don't have headphone jacks anymore. A lot of them only have one port, whether that's USB-C or in the case of Apple, a lot of it is Lightning. And so finding interfaces that work with these devices is a bit of a challenge. So I went to Rode, who I worked with on that NT USB Mini video. I was like, look, there's gotta be a way for us to kind of brainstorm here. What would be an interesting way to record podcasts on the go? So the first thing they sent me is this little guy. This is the SC6L. It's a little interface that has two lavalier microphones that you can see here in this tangled mess. And basically what it'll let you do is it lets you plug this directly into your iPhone. You get two inputs for the microphones and a headphone out so you can monitor. This right out of the box is basically all you need to record a two-person interview. You could just plug this right into your phone, have two lavalier microphones, and you're basically good to go. I'm gonna show you a little later on how that sounds, but this little guy actually just put me down a path of brainstorming a little bit more because I was like, there's gotta be maybe an interesting use case for this that isn't with lavalier microphones. I know not everybody likes to use lavalier microphones. So this is where things got really interesting. A lot of you might be familiar with these. These are the Rode Wireless Go. I have talked about these before on the channel when I did my Deity D3 Pro video. I talked about how you can connect these to a shotgun microphone and get a wireless boom setup out of them. I love these, they're quick. They even have their own built-in microphone. You can clip them on here. Relatively affordable, $200 for a wireless kit. You got wireless audio. They recently came out with this though. This is like a little interview kit where the Wireless Go goes inside this little guy and you basically have a reporter mic. And so once I saw this reporter mic, I was like, okay, this is where things get interesting because this looks like when you'd have a podcast microphone, right? You could just like put this on a mic stand and you basically have a podcast mic. So I talked to them, I was like, is there a way for me to plug in the Rode Wireless Go into the SC6L? This is where it gets a little bit complicated, but track with me here because it's worth it in the end. And I'm gonna list everything in the description below for all the little parts that you need to put this together. But trust me, when you see how this comes together, it makes a lot of sense. So the Wireless Go comes with one of these. This is a TRS to TRS cable. If you look really closely at this, you can see that there's two little lines. That means it's TRS. Now, if I just took the Rode Wireless Go with the TRS cable that it came with and I tried to plug it into this little guy, the SC6L, it wouldn't work because it's two little lines. And for smartphones, you need a TRRS cable. So if you look at this one now, don't fail me now, XT3. Oh my God, I spoke too soon. Oh, there you go. So if you see there's three lines, that is for smartphones. That third line basically is for smartphones. It's the microphone line on the cable. So this side is still TRS, but this side is TRRS. So with this, I can take a Rode Wireless Go, I can plug in the TRS side of this cable, boom, and then the TRRS cable into the input on the SC6L. And basically what's happened now is I have a way to connect a Rode Wireless Go to a Lightning cable. That is a game changer. So at this point, you just might be like, this guy's a nerd. He's just plugging cables into cables. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. What is happening? This right here is a game changer because I can plug this directly into my phone now and I have a Wireless Go into the phone and I can have a wireless audio setup just like that from this. But where it gets really fun is if I have another Wireless Go. Now I have two Wireless Go's that I can plug in to the SC6L. And now I've got two Wireless Go's going in to my iPhone. And where it gets fun, and this is where this all finally comes together, is I'll have two of these, which means I've got two microphones that I can set up for a podcast completely wirelessly, all going into an iPhone. So now you might be wondering, okay, how do I record though, right? So how do you actually record this audio? Again, Rode has thought of everything because they're a Rode and they're amazing. And they have the Rode Reporter app. Now what's really cool is the SC6L, this little adapter that plugs into here. you can get 2 channels out of it, right? So like one microphone is the left channel and the other microphone is the right channel. So when you get into post, you can actually split up your interview and cut other people's stuff out and your stuff out, mix it together, whatever you need to do. You're gonna get 2 channels, which, like I said earlier, the challenge with using phones and iPads and whatnot is that you're only getting a single source. So if you were to just use another microphone, for example, it's difficult to mix an interview because you only have one source of audio. With the SC6L going into the Rode Reporter app, you're gonna get 2 channels so you can mix that really easily. Okay, let's show you, or maybe you can hear how all of this sounds. First off, I'm gonna show you just the Lavalier microphones with the SC6L. This is a fake podcast that my girlfriend and I put together just so you can hear it. If you just wanna get the SC6L, which is just the 2 Lavaliers with the little adapter to plug into your phone, this is how you could do that podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Fake Podcast. I am your host, Patrick Tomasso. Today, I have another fake guest on episode 3. This is Fake Cheska. Fake Cheska, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, I'm a faker. That's who I am.
You know, we're doing audio tests and you're just barely talking, so what's the point of having, you're not supposed to, so the whole thing with the podcast is you can't have dead air.
I'm building intrigue.
That doesn't we're doing audio tests though. People have to hear how it sounds.
I know, but I'm like, ooh, they're like, what, is she going to say something?
No, they're annoyed. They're skipping through being like, I just want to hear how these freaking microphones sound.
They sound great.
So the labs that Rode gives you with the kit is the Lavalier Go, basically. So it has a TRRS cable, so it'll work with smartphones right out of the box. I think they sound great. They're a great lavalier. You just have to like that lavalier sound, which for some can be a little bit muddy. And I think maybe sometimes for a podcast, it's a little bit too chesty. Pretty easy to fix that with EQ, so I really wouldn't worry about it. If you want a really simple, like truthfully, this thing just comes in a little bag. This would just go in your pocket basically, or in your backpack, and you're ready to record a podcast interview wherever you want to go. Now, in the process of setting this up, one more hack that I had to figure out was the SC6L only has one headphone jack, right? And so what I did was I got a headphone splitter off of Amazon, and that let me basically have monitoring for 2 people. So myself, I could wear headphones, and your guest can wear headphones, and you both get a clean feed of whatever you have plugged in to the SC6L. I think it's more fun to set these up with the wireless Goes. Yes, it's a little more complicated, but when you're recording a podcast, especially if you're recording a podcast on video, I think it looks really cool to have the microphones in frame. It just feels a bit more professional. And I also think it sounds a heck of a lot better too. So this is the Rode Wireless Goes into the SC6L, directly into the iPhone. No mixing, no post-processing, nothing. There's another episode of the Fake Podcast. Enjoy.
Welcome back to the Fake Podcast. This is episode 2 of the Fake Podcast, where we are using Rode Wireless Goes. Today I have a guest, a fake guest. Her name is Francesca. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Francesca.
Hi, my name is Francesca. My friends call me Fran. I'm an Aries, Gemini rising, in case anybody was curious. I love pasta, and I'm so happy to be on the podcast today.
It's kind of cool that this entire podcast is being recorded into a phone, isn't it?
I didn't even notice. That's pretty great.
That's how amazing this Fake Podcast is. We do it entirely wirelessly.
I don't think you'd ever be on a podcast with me, so it's totally a fake podcast.
Well, this is the Rode Wireless Go. Let's talk over each other just to see how it sounds.
I don't want to do it.
Oh, you know what? You know,
blah,
just hold on.
One
a minute.
more time.
Just one more. Just hold on. A minute. This is my podcast. It's my fake podcast. It's my time.
What about
to talk.
me? Hello.
It's my time. To
Hey,
talk.
hello.
That's all the time we have today.
I think you can tell right away that the wireless Goes sound a lot richer. It's easier to basically eat the microphone, so you get that nice proximity effect when you're up close to it. And that's another reason why I like just having this little reporter kit with the arm. It just sounds a little bit better than having the lavaliers. And I just think it's crazy that it's just plugged into the iPhone, recording into the Rode app, and really nothing else is happening. Like the fact that you could just show up at a location, or if you go to a studio or an office, wherever it may be, you're basically ready to go with a couple mic stands, couple kits of wireless Goes, and all of a sudden you're recording a full-blown studio podcast. That's crazy. It used to be that you needed a Shure SM7B and a cloud lifter and a mixer and all this kind of crazy stuff just to record a podcast. And what I talked about in the iPad podcasting videos, that, you know, least barriers to that final product, you're going to have a lot more fun creating because you're not worried about setting up all this audio. It's not a mess. It's easy. It's fun. And then you just get to focus on the content and nothing else. Speaking of not stressing about audio, I just partnered up with my friends at Moment. You guys know Moment because they do all the smartphone stuff and they have a wicked YouTube channel. Everyone over at the Moment team is amazing. They reached out to me and said, hey, we're doing these filmmaker workshops. Would you like to do one on sound? I jumped at the opportunity. It was a lot of fun. There's a few other people that have done them too that you will definitely recognize. My buddy Spencer did one on lighting. But if you want to learn more about audio and beyond what I've been talking about even today in this video, if you want to learn about how to use shotgun microphones, how to record sound on set, how to record interviews, how to record your own voiceovers, just a little bit more of an in-depth look. It's about 45 minutes long. If you like this video and other videos on my channel, consider this workshop a more in-depth look into sound, how I record sound, all my tips and tricks. We talk about Foley, sound mixing, sound design, whole bunch of fun stuff. Check it out, it's only 35 bucks. And if you use the code, which is listed right here, you're gonna get 10% off that lesson as well. I also wanna thank Rode for sending all of this crazy gear out. It was a lot of fun just trying to experiment and put this kit together. I know it's a little bit unorthodox and I apologize if at any point it was a little bit hard to follow, but I'm hoping that when you saw it all in action, it kind of came together and made sense. And of course, if you have questions, definitely hit me up in the comments. I'm always there to answer them. But other than that, my name is Patrick Tomasso. We made another video. Holy sh**.